Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Entertainment and Facilities Committee. I'm Councilmember Paul Krikorian, a sorry substitute for Chairwoman Martinez, but she's not able to be with us today, so we're going to go ahead and proceed. Mr. O'Farrell and Mr. Buscaino are here with me, and we are ready to begin. So, members, first of all, I would like to propose items 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 as candidates for consent approval.
So moved.
Unless there are questions or concerns. Seeing none, those items are approved on consent. Item number 4 will need to be continued for how long? Until the next meeting of this committee. Okay, and that will bring up then item 1. Let's go ahead and call that item now.
For item 1, the City Administrative Officer has submitted 2 reports relative to the first construction projects report for fiscal year 2015 and 16, which recommends funding adjustments needed to keep various construction projects on track. This item has also been referred to Budget and Finance Committee. The original report is part of the packet, and the addendum is submitted for your review.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Bernice Hollins, Office of the CAO. Our office is presenting to this committee the first quarterly construction projects report for the current fiscal year. This report recommends a total of $13.9 million in transfers and appropriations for previously authorized construction projects. Of this amount, approximately $9.2 million will be utilized for GSD construction projects, $3.7 million in transfers to other city funds, and $1 million will be utilized for debt service payments through the Capital Finance Administration Fund. We have also provided a report addendum that provides additional general fund cost recovery, reauthorizes MICLA funds previously authorized for construction projects, and addresses a minor accounting adjustment. Taken together, the estimated impact on the general fund for increased cost of operations and maintenance is projected at $13,000 for turf maintenance associated with 3 fire stations addressed in this report, and that cost would begin in fiscal year 2017-18. We do have various representatives in attendance today to address any project-specific questions you may have.
Okay, very good. So with the addendum, am I to understand that that will be a benefit to the general fund because of additional reimbursements?
Yes, certainly. It's roughly about $418,000 in additional cost recovery for BOE staff costs for the prior year.
You're speaking my language. All right, members, any questions on this?
No. Nope. Approval.
Okay. One question. Pacoima City Hall is relatively new, and there's a recommendation for replacing the AC units. Why is it that that needs to be done so soon after the building was built? And
Okay. Do we have someone from BOE? No.
no?
No, I'm sorry. I would have to address that question offline.
Okay. All right. And then there is a letter from Mr. Bonin requesting an additional $75,000 on one of the items. And this entire matter is referred to Budget and Finance, is it not?
Right.
So, okay. So what I would suggest is rather than doing that now without a source of the funding or without a recommendation from CAO, what I'd like to do is take this up in budget, take this particular request up in Budget and Finance if that meets with your approval, members.
No objection.
I believe that's regarding the Paseo Miramar.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So this will be going to Budget and Finance, and we'll take that then. Mr. Bonin sits on Budget and Finance, so we can discuss it in that committee. So we'll defer that request, and other than that, with the addendum, if there's no objection, we'll approve the item as amended.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 3.
On item 3, motion Wesson Cedillo O'Farrell directs the Department of General Services with assistance from the City Attorney, the Department of Transportation, and the City Administrative Officer to negotiate an amended and restated ground lease between the city and the Korean American Museum Incorporated. This is for the use of a vacant city lot located at 601, 617 South Vermont Avenue, and it will have various modifications to the existing ground lease. It also directs the GSD and the City Planning Department to process the master land use permit application for a site plan review for a mixed-use project. This item is also referred to Planning and Land Use Management Committee.
Okay, very good. And is there someone who's going to present the technical amendments in this?
I thought CD10 was going to be here.
I have that. I have a recommendation to amend the motion and then approve.
Okay.
Okay? So thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I was the seconder of this motion last summer. Early in 2013, a draft ground lease agreement between the city and the Korean American Museum was approved. It's taken a few twists and turns since then. I've been working with Council President Herb Wesson's office on working on, and with the project team, on including some affordable units within this. I have felt very strongly since the project was going to be built on what is a city parking lot. We have since negotiated that agreement, and it's going to include affordable units. Therefore, I have a friendly amendment, and I would like to read it for the record, that the Departments of General Services, City Planning, and Building and Safety accept and review entitlements, building permits, and other related applications submitted by the Korean American Museum, Inc., required to construct a 7-story mixed-use building with approximately 30,000 square feet of commercial and museum space for the Korean American National Museum and a maximum of 103 dwelling units. The project will reserve 10% of the 103 dwelling units permitted on the site, 11 units in all, for affordable housing. The project is to include 145 on-site parking spaces on 3 subterranean levels and 48 off-site parking spaces. Such project to be subject to the approval of an amended and restated ground lease by the City Council and the payment of all associated fees and permits. And again, I'd like to thank the Korean American National Museum organization, along with Council President Herb Wesson, on what I think addresses for this project the number one crisis facing the city of Los Angeles, and that is the lack of affordable housing. So I commend all parties for agreeing to this arrangement. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Thank you for that addition and improvement. Any, Mr. Buscaino, any questions? All right. Well, then, as amended, if there's no objection, it'll be the action of the committee to approve the motion as amended and advance that. Go directly to council? Okay.
Thank you.
And with that, I think that brings up general public comment. And so I'd like to call as our first speaker Rosemary Molina, followed by Loretta Stevens. Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosemary Molina. I'm the Strategic Director of the Clean Car Wash Campaign, and I wanted to talk today to ask the committee to support an effort that promotes racial equity and social justice in Los Angeles. It's time for LA city officials like yourselves to support the inclusion of civil rights protections in any current enforcement policies. And some of you might think, why do we care about this in the car wash industry? Well, the car wash industry just about 20 years ago was an almost fully African-American workforce. And right now we see that it's mostly Latino and undocumented. The exclusion of one group has led to the exploitation of another. We find that with our black membership, it's really hard for them to enter the industry. They're usually the first to get fired when they speak up. A lot of them know their rights, more so than some of our undocumented members. And a lot of them choose to endure the wage theft that they're experiencing because they feel like they don't have any other options. So I think when we think about enforcement around wage theft or any other type of enforcement that the city has, it's also important to look at all of the other violations that might be occurring, including discrimination in the workplace. And I strongly support racial equity in Los Angeles, and I hope that the city does too and looks for some policy reform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Ms. Green?
Hi, my name is Terry Green, and I'm a merchandiser and a member of the LA Black Workers Center. To make a difference in addressing the black job crisis, I have faced racial discrimination by being pushed out of a job and faced a hostile work environment. We need a local system that will support civil rights protection and ensure workers aren't sidelined because of the color of their skin. If Seattle can work towards a racial and economic equity, so can Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Loretta Stevens. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you, committee. I'm Loretta Stevens, and on behalf of the Black Workers Center, we provided you some information. But we want this committee to do two things. One, we want an ordinance that would create a discrimination complaint resolution system and process for the city's Human Relations Commission. We provided information, San Diego, their actual complaint process, and San Francisco has one. So those are in the documents that you have. But it would be a local office where people of color and others can go to for civil rights protections and enforcement supports to resolve concerns regarding discrimination and employment biases. The second area is under your committee, social justice. We want a racial equity and social justice initiative approach to addressing the Black job crises. Equity means fairness and justice in the way people are treated. We want a usage of a race equity strategy and tools used by other cities to address the deep disparities facing Black people in Los Angeles around employment opportunities. There is 50% Black people that are unemployed or underemployed, making less than $12 an hour. And if cities like Seattle, Portland, Madison, Wisconsin can work towards racial and economic equity, so can Los Angeles. So we want this committee to take the lead, help pass that ordinance to establish that complaint process resolution system at the Human Relations Commission, and to really focus on the Black job crisis. You're right, housing, affordable housing is an issue, but so is the Black job crisis. It's not right. It must be addressed, and to get the attention that it needs, it has to be intentional. So we want you guys to really take it seriously, look at policy, what's working in other places, what you're doing here, and employ the best practices, and let's address this issue. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being with us today. Is there any other action or item for the committee? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.